I've seen Nico and Alex grow up since they were, you
Uh,
know, 10 months old. I've seen them every day for
right,
hours a day,
right,
more than I would have if we were still in California.
right.
My office, I see my window looks out into the backyard. Like the other day I looked outside, this kind of goes with it. Monroe is standing on the edge of the trampoline with his pants down, peeing off the edge of the trampoline. It's like I get to see all those like funny
Right,
things that
right, right.
happen every day. Like they've got a stomp rocket thing, and like Alex and Nico were doing it, and they did it, and Nico looked up and got hit right below the eye. It's like just the stuff that like
Instant
I would.
comedy right out your
Oh
window.
yeah, it's like I look out and I just laugh most of the
Right,
time, or I'm just like, oh my gosh, Chelsea's got her hands full. I hope she's
right, right.
okay.
All right, welcome back to Rad Dads, a podcast where I, Micah Sherman, interview some of the coolest dads that I know who have a big love for their families and an even bigger love for Jesus. New episodes drop not once, but twice a month. So don't forget to subscribe right here below where it says subscribe. And also just anywhere you listen to podcasts. So go ahead and check that out. We're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and pretty much everywhere else. So here we go. All right, it's time to introduce our rad dad of the day. So let's get to the scouting report. So our rad dad graduated from Chapman University in Orange, California, with a bachelor's in mathematics. Hopefully I get all this right, rad dad. I haven't even said your name yet, but you'll let me know at the end.
I'll let you know.
He did a little bit of some substitute teaching, baseball coaching. Also played baseball at Chapman University and did pretty well there. He did a kind of a brief stint in event development coordinating, correct?
Yeah.
That's right.
Oh,
And now are a professional land surveyor. And believe it or not, I got a lot of this on LinkedIn. LinkedIn's always a
oh,
big.
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do keep
So
that up to date. So.
that's right. Yeah. So Christian Maietta, welcome to the show. We're excited to have you as our newest
Thank
rad
you.
dad.
Excited to be here. Thank you.
Awesome. Okay, can you just describe what is land surveying for those who might not know what it is?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, the way that I describe it to anybody who asks is if you ever see those people in the middle of the street or the side of the road with the tripods and the camera looking thing on top, that's me. Yeah.
That's
We're land
you. That's you.
surveyors.
I
Yeah.
think I
Yeah.
passed one just yesterday, and I was like, "That's Christian. That's
That's a
Christian."
land
There.
surveyor. Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. So Christian, something I also do is I reach out to your family. I don't know if they already told you this, but I asked your wife Chelsea if she could describe you in 3 words, and then also your boys, if they could too. I really just asked Monroe, but so
Yeah.
your
I was
wife
going to say,
said
he's the only one.
your wife said that you are sincere, you are responsible and patient. And you just have such a deep desire. She loves this about you, that you have such a deep desire to understand her for her, which I thought was pretty cool. And then for Monroe, he said, and this is good, man. Thank you, Chelsea. He said
Oh,
that
boy.
what he loves most about dad is tooting on him. I repeat, what he loves most about
Oh,
dad is
my
that
God.
he loves tooting on his dad. So what's the
Yeah.
story with that?
Oh my gosh. I'm sitting in my office right now. And so one day he came into my office. I don't have a door or anything, so he can just like kind of come back here. He comes in and he's like, Dad, my stomach hurts. I'm like, oh, bud, I'm so sorry. I pick him up and I sit him on my lap and immediately toots on me and then starts laughing. It's like it was all a ruse. He just
Yeah, he
like
knew what
made
he
this
was doing.
stomach ache up so that he could come back here and toot on me. He had the feeling, he knew like
Yeah,
he's a smart kid, so he just loves like now he just does it all the time. Like
yeah.
any
Took
chance he
advantage of your
gets.
empathy.
Yeah, exactly. And
And
but now it doesn't matter. He just does it whenever, he'll come sit on me and we're watching TV and does it and just thinks it's hilarious. So,
well,
yeah.
what a dad for just taking
That's
the
the
abuse. I mean,
story
that's
there.
a huge part of parenthood is just embracing the smelly lifestyle,
Oh yeah.
right?
Oh yeah. Yep. Yes, it
Awesome.
is.
So, why don't you, from here on out, why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about your family, Christian,
Sure.
and what a day in the life of the Miettas looks like right now?
Hmm. Okay. Well, I'll answer that second question first. Chaos is what a day in the
Chaos.
life of the Maedas looks
Period.
like right now. Yeah, that's pretty much the sum of it. So yeah, we Chelsea and I have been married 7 years now, almost eight. It'll be eight in June next year. We have a 3.5-year-old, and then boy Monroe, and 2-year-old twins. They just turned two last Friday.
Ooh,
Twin boys, Nico and Alex. So
cool.
we uh, we have a lot going on all the
Who I have
time.
to say look a lot like you. Would you agree
Oh, wait, say that again.
that your twin boys look a lot like you as a
Yes, they more so. Yeah, Monroe got more of my
yeah.
wife's genes, at least so far. And yes, the twins are like, you look at baby pictures of me, even of my dad, and
Uh-huh.
both of them are like way more resembling me and my dad, like I said. So yeah,
Right.
they got my resemblance, and Monroe, his baby pictures are spitting image of Chelsea too,
Yeah.
and her
Right.
siblings and her dad. So yeah, they are definitely more like me. But yeah, a typical day, I mean, like I'll just describe today because it's the weekend and so I'm not working. Typically Monroe, he's up super early, so I get up with him. The twins will kind of be in bed with my wife after they wake up early, and um, eventually they'll come out and we do breakfast. And by 10 a.m., if it's nice, we go outside. Like today, we raked leaves, we did rototilling, we took some branches up to the hole where we burn our trash and stuff
Oh,
because we're
shoot,
just
man.
out in the country.
That's right.
And then, the twins nap. Monroe's not napping anymore, so he just hangs out. We hung some Christmas lights. And then I took the boys. Monroe rode his little Strider bike, and I pushed the twin boys in a car up to Chelsea's parents' house. They live about a half mile up the road. And her brother has two horses there, so we went up there and fed them some carrots, and then hung out at
Man.
grandparents' house, and then came home and had dinner and hung out until bedtime. So it's any kind of variation of that. Just we just have a lot going on. And we have to
Yeah,
entertain three boys, that
you
can
do.
run and jump, and
And a farm sounds like the best place for that.
it offers a lot of nice amenities for kids.
Right. Yeah. Something to be thankful for, that's for sure.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, yeah. So going off that, so a little bit of your background. You are so actually we're cousins. We always say we're technically cousins. We're really
Hmm.
cousins. We're our cousin's cousin.
Yeah.
So we just call
Cousins.
each other
Yeah.
cousins. But we grew up together. Me and
Hmm.
Christian families were already always around each other for holidays and whatnot, and
Hmm.
went to church together and whatnot. So, but in the last couple of years, you moved from California to
Hmm.
Illinois, kind of more suburban lifestyle, and now you're off the grid on a farm, which I think we've all at least dreamed of doing.
Sure.
Um, so maybe you can kind of just give us your experience thus far of that kind of new chapter of your life.
Yeah.
Has it been what you expected? What are you most enjoying about it? What are kind of some of the biggest challenges?
Sure. Uh, I'll start with a little bit of background. So obviously, like I said, we have twin boys after our first. They're 19 months apart. So living in Southern California in a two-bedroom apartment, things were gonna get small really
Right,
fast. And just with Chelsea not working and my current job and just the housing market and just prices in general, like finding a bigger place was going to be really tough, even
right,
just like renting a three-bedroom apartment. So
for sure.
honestly, like we never, and Chelsea especially, like after high school, she went to college elsewhere, then she was abroad, and then she moved to
Right,
California. She never imagined that she'd be back because this is her hometown. Like we
sure.
live in her grandma's house,
What city is
and
it in Illinois?
it's called Milledgeville. So
Millie,
literally named because
Illinois.
there was a mill at the edge of the ville. Like that is what it
Makes
is. So we
sense.
are, yeah, we're 2 hours west of Chicago. I think the
Okay.
town's population is 1,100.
Wow.
Um, there's
So very
one,
different.
Oh, very different. Very, very different. So yeah, Chelsea never thought she'd move back, but it kind of got to the point like, okay, well, what are our options, space wise, financially? Like, what are we going to do? Um, and we started kicking it around. And it's not our goal to be here long term, but one of the biggest reasons was, we think it would be very unique and meaningful to be close to Chelsea's family
Sure.
for a portion of our lives. And we
Yeah.
kind of just saw this as, well, hey, the kids aren't in school yet. We don't feel like we need to settle somewhere for them to be consistent with friends at school and things like
Sure.
that. So maybe
Now's the
maybe
time.
these years, yeah, are the years that we move back there and get good time with her family. Because
Yeah.
yeah, we don't intend to be here long term, just a couple
Right.
years. So yeah, that's kind of how we ended up out here. But it's a very different lifestyle. But what I tell people is, and with 19 months apart, twins from your
Yeah.
first child, like we weren't doing a whole lot in Southern California as far
You're
like we're not
inside.
going out, and
Yeah.
yeah, we're at our house most of the
Yeah.
time, and our house is a two-bedroom apartment on a second story. So if we want to go outside, we have to like go down a flight of stairs and like take all the stuff we need, baby
Right.
equipment,
And the
whatever
whole
it
process.
was. Yeah, so really what I tell people is we just upgraded our space, and like the life that we're living is very similar. Like we spend majority of our time at home,
Sure.
and seeing family, and we kind of just switched families. Like it was my family in Southern
Right.
California that we would see majority of the time, and now it's Chelsea's family out here.
Right.
Obviously I would see my friends or our friends and whatnot, but like Nathan and Jess, they moved to Texas, right? And so we said goodbye to them. 4 months later, they were back because his niece was born, and they came and saw us. It was like, it feels like you didn't move because like we would
Right.
maybe see each other every 4 months
Yeah. Right.
anyways.
Nathan is our shared cousin.
He's our shared cousin,
Yep.
yeah. So it's really no different as far as just like what we do in our
Sure.
lives right now. It just feels like, hey, this is a better situation because we have way more space. We have a yard, we have a pool. Like it's great for the kids. It's cheaper. We're saving money to then hopefully
For
be
sure.
able to either go back to California or go somewhere else. I don't know. A couple
Sure.
years is a lot can change in a couple years. So we have
Yeah.
our hopes, but we also realize that it could end up somewhere else. So um, yeah, we have seasons here. Like I said, we're on a farm, so we get to be part of the farm operation. So
Right.
I've
Yeah.
gotten to help out with different stuff. Yeah, Monroe gets to go ride in tractors and deal with hogs and cattle with his
Dude,
uncle and his grandpa. And he loves it.
every little
He would
boy's
do.
dream.
Oh, he would do it every day. So he's in heaven as far as that
Yeah.
stuff goes. And Nico and Alex, they will definitely start doing that more as they get
Yeah.
a little bit older too. Yeah.
That's so cool.
So for the time being, it feels like it was really the right decision,
Yeah.
just because of all those things combined, and
Totally.
very different, but you know, kind of what we expected because I'd visited and we know that it's cold,
Right.
and obviously Chelsea grew up here. Um, but
And
yeah,
that's cool. We
still
get to see a little bit more of her background and where she started.
totally. Yeah. I mean, we've gone to football games at her high school, because her brother
Cool.
helps coach the team.
Oh,
So
okay.
we've gotten to do that. And yeah, I've met obviously all her childhood friends that are still around here, and aunts and uncles and parents' friends and things like that. So yeah,
Cool.
I'm living the life that she lived when she grew up. So
Yeah.
it's kind of fun.
Have you seen the show called Bless This Mess?
No. Mm-mm.
Oh man, you got to watch it. It's literally your story. Um, they have yeah, they move from like busy city like New York life
Mm.
to a farm and then
Okay.
start a farm, but it's a
Okay.
comedy and it's Bless This Mess. Mark that on your
All
to do
right.
touch list.
Yeah, I'll have to check it out.
And how about do you miss California? And you mentioned that you might come back one day. Right now, it sounds like this just season is just the perfect time to
Hmm.
to try this right now and to be on a farm to visit Chelsea's family. But yeah, do you miss
Yeah,
California?
definitely. Yeah, there's definitely things about it that we miss. Like I said, our hope would be to go back. I mean, Chelsea loves the beach. We like obviously the weather. I mean, there's so many national parks and things to do in California that are close by that we really enjoy, that we would do more so before we had kids. I mean, my family's there, most of
Yeah.
my friends are there. So yeah, the hope would be to go back, but I mean, the things that we miss about it, realistically, and it's not just specific to California, this could be anywhere that's more
Sure.
populated, is good food options that are closer than
Okay. Yeah.
45 minutes to an hour away,
Sure.
because
Right. Yeah. You
that's
know.
kind of how far out we got to go to get like, you know, good food, not just like,
Yeah.
oh, there's a pizza place and there's a McDonald's and
Sure. Sure.
there's
Yeah.
Buffalo Wild Wings. But
Yeah.
yeah, I miss that. The weather, I mean, yeah, we missed the good weather, but I've enjoyed the seasons and just being able to
Sure.
see things change, and it's incredible how quickly trees and plants and flowers grow once the spring hits. Like
Hmm.
it felt like inches in
Well.
days that
Yeah.
plant, and you know, I've never seen it like that
Yeah.
because
You
in
don't see that.
California, like that, yeah, it doesn't happen. Things don't die and go dormant and then come back in the spring. So
Right.
getting
Yeah.
to see that has been cool. But yeah, obviously, like I miss my family and my friends and the consistent time that we would get with them.
For sure.
Um, so that's probably number one, and then good food options close
Yeah.
by, or you know, we lived in Tustin. We could walk to 5 grocery stores in like 10
Yeah. You got your
minutes,
option on
and
anything,
yeah.
any diet, right? It's a lot more accessible in that way.
Totally. Yeah. And now our grocery store is Walmart and it's 25 minutes away. So,
Yeah.
you know, it's different. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Different
those
pros,
would be
different
the things
cons.
that we miss. Yeah. Yeah,
Cool.
for sure.
And how about just kind of the change in pace of life? How has that been for you and your family? Has you
Change
feel
of
like slowing
pace.
down or any way being from
Yeah,
like California, Illinois?
um yeah, I guess in the sense that we don't have as many options of things to do. You know, in
Sure.
California, there was always the option of like, oh, we could go hang out with my family. We could go hang out with these friends. We could
Hmm.
go take the kids to the park or to the beach, or, do those kinds of things. And so you kind of fill your schedule with those things just because they're available. Whereas here, I mean, especially coming into the winter, like just not being able to really go outside for long periods of
Right.
time. It's like, well, yeah, we're not really going to go do that thing because it means we got to get the kids all bundled,
Sure.
and then maybe they'll be outside for 15 minutes before they like
Right.
can't
Right.
take
Yeah.
it anymore.
Not
Um, so yeah, it's kind of interesting that just the accessibility to that kind of stuff, it kind of forces you to be slower. It's like, yeah, I spend majority of my time with my family. Not that we weren't doing that before,
sure.
but
Yeah.
you just kind of will go and do other things just because they're there, and you kind
Yeah.
of want to break up, you know, I don't want to say the monotony of your life, but
Right.
just to kind of do things. So I try to do that, like what I did today, take the kids up to the grandparents' house, feed the horses, just
Sure.
like let's get out of the house, let's do something that we
Yeah. Right.
can. Um, but I mean, yeah, we're not running around doing like a million things a week.
Right.
It's like, yeah, we take Monroe. He does preschool 3 days a week. He
Right.
was doing gymnastics on Saturday mornings
Oh,
for a
cool.
while. It's like, those are the things that we do. And
Yeah.
then, if we get to see Chelsea's parents or uh, brothers at some point during the week, cool, but it's kind of the change of pace is nice, and having family so close, we feel like our house we kind of have an open revolving door. Like our
Sure.
family is in and out all the time.
That's awesome.
And
Definitely.
yeah, the
There.
comfortability with that is really nice. It's just like there's
Sure.
no expectation that people let us know when they're coming over. It's like her dad just comes up in the morning, says
Right.
hi, like has a cup of coffee, and then goes to work. And it's like, great, the kids get to see him, like we get to
Yeah.
talk
It
for a minute.
feels like I'm sure there's a better word to say, but like the olden days of movies you'd watch, like, yeah, just they're popping in and they're popping
Yeah,
out. Like, I don't think
yep,
that's a common OC California, just
no.
any busier city life. It seems like.
Right, right. It's very much so that because we live on the property where like the grain silos are here,
Yeah.
the machine sheds here. So her dad, her brother, they're
There, yeah.
on this site all the time. And so they'll
Sure.
just pop in, say, hey, oh, I can take one of the kids, I'm going to do this if they want to
Right.
come for an hour, so it's very much
Sure.
so like that. And I think that is super unique and special, and we
Sure.
very
Yeah.
much enjoy that. Yeah.
And it almost
Hmm.
seems like it's not so much the pace of life that's changed, but just like you said, maybe there's less options to go and do, and you're it's not. I mean, you're just sounds like you're doing a lot on the farm. There's always things to do for the kids and the family
Yeah.
to see. I mean, you got a toddler and twins, so it's things aren't slowing down. But that
Right.
sounds nice in the fact of like, I think coming from a suburb, we're in suburbia right now in Orange
Yeah.
County, Indiana. Having less to do is I think often better,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
then you're not as busy moving. You're more with each other, and you're still doing
Hmm.
things, but you're always
Or
with each
you don't feel pressure to be
other. Yeah,
doing other
sure.
things. Like you might get more invitations to social events being where you are.
Right.
And so you might feel that pressure or
Right.
anxiety to like be doing that with people.
Yeah.
Whereas, yeah, like we just don't have that. I mean,
Sure.
maybe it's again because of the accessibility or, I don't have any friends here. So it's not like I'm,
Sure.
going and hanging out with
Right.
people
Yeah, yeah.
that I know here.
Right.
But yeah, so could be a
Yeah.
combination of both.
Sure. And it kind of leads me into kind of the next question is I would assume that does you feel like it kind of allows you to be more present as a dad and a husband, where you're at now?
I don't know that being in Illinois is what does it, but there's a definite difference between, um, with Monroe, I was working 4 days a week and I would work 10-hour days. And so
Sure.
I would work sometimes 5 days a week and I'm gone, that's 10 hours at the office. So I'm gone maybe
Right.
10 to 11 hours a day.
Sure. Yeah.
So moving to Illinois and being able to work remotely, I'm home
Right.
all
Yeah.
day, every day.
Right.
Like I said, I don't have a door on my office. This is just how the space was. It's open bookshelves on one wall. I hear
Yeah.
everything.
Right. Yeah.
And Monroe can get open the baby gate, so he can just
Sure.
come back here
Right.
whenever. And I can take a break. Like I take so many, I mean, not so many, but like I can just take a 5-minute break, go out
Yeah.
there, like
You do
wrestle with the kids, like, have fun with them for a minute
get
and then
tooted
come
on.
back to work. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just, yeah, exactly. Get tooted on.
Yeah. All right. I got it back.
Help pick up whatever mess
Right.
is
Right.
going on. Um, so just the fact that I'm home all the
Sure.
time, I get to be a part of so much more of their lives.
Right.
I've seen Nico and Alex grow up since they were, you
Uh,
know, 10 months old. I've seen them every day for
and,
hours a day,
right.
more than I would have if we were still in California.
Right.
My office, I see my window looks out into the backyard. Like the other day I looked outside, this kind of goes with it. Monroe is standing on the edge of the trampoline with his pants down, peeing off the edge of the trampoline. It's like I get to see all those like funny
Right.
things that
Right. Right.
happen every day. Like they've got a
Sure.
stomp rocket thing and like Alex and Nico were doing it and they did it and Nico looked up and got hit right below the eye. It's like just the stuff that like
Instant
I would.
comedy right out your
Oh
window.
yeah, it's like I look out and I just laugh most of the
Right.
time, or I'm just like, oh my gosh, Chelsea just got her hands full. I hope she's
Right. Right.
okay.
Yeah. For sure.
Um,
That's
so I
awesome.
just, yeah, the working remotely and getting to
That's
be
the
a
big.
part, yeah, that's the difference. And moving to Illinois, that that kind of allowed that to happen because I was able to stay on with my company and work remotely,
Sure.
and never would have done this if we stayed in
Right.
California,
Sure.
So.
Totally.
Yes, all in all, I guess, yes, I get to be more present with my kids and I get to be a part of so much more. And with my wife, like,
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, with a toddler and twins, like, she still can't just like take a bathroom break and
Right.
leave all the kids in one room.
Don't have
It's like
much
she
wiggle
tells
room.
me, she yells, "Hey, I'm going to the bathroom. Like if you hear
Yeah,
anything."
right.
And so then I'm just like, I got my ears open. Sometimes I'll just go out there because inevitably somebody throws some toy at the other
Yep.
one or takes something. And then it's like, she feels like I can't even go to the bathroom without things falling apart.
Right.
So
Right.
I get to be helpful to her.
Sure.
Um,
I'm sure she
just
appreciates
be,
that.
yeah, I mean, it makes a huge difference. When we were in California, it was like she was so stressed out
Yep.
because it's like I would be gone at 5:30 every morning before the kids are
Right.
even awake, and then not home until 4:30. So
Yeah.
it's just, it's very different. And I get
Yeah.
to every morning I get to eat breakfast with my family, and
Cool.
then like Chelsea and I drink coffee together and like have a touch point before I go to work. Like, hey,
Sure.
what's the day
Awesome.
look like? What do we need to do? Um, so it's very, very nice
Yeah.
to get that. I know like it comes with its challenges for sure working from
Right.
home, but
But it
I
sounds
know
like the pros outweigh the cons as far as that goes.
and I can't imagine 10 to 15 years from now looking back and being disappointed that I had
Right.
this time. Like I'm going to be so thankful that I got this time when my kids were this age, because once they start school, it's like they're in school every day,
Yeah.
and I
Right.
I don't have the option of this time. So if I would have done this 6 years from now when all the kids were in school, like I wouldn't be getting this. So
Right.
I know
Definitely.
I'm going to be grateful for this time, even though it has its challenges and
Yep. For sure.
and difficulties. So
Well, sounds like you got a great perspective on your head, Christian Maietta. Great job.
trying.
You are a rad dad. You are a rad dad. So we were talking about, we mentioned the twins. So as parents of twins with a toddler, and we've had conversations. My sister is in a sister and brother are in a similar. We're in a similar stage as you, where they have the
Yeah,
toddler and then they have the twins pretty close behind, which is
I think
quite.
they were 19 months. Yeah, which is same as us because we
Yeah.
talked with them when we were pregnant with the twins, and yeah,
So perfect. Can you kind of share some biggest nuggets of wisdom raising twins and kind of that unique distance between Monroe, your oldest, and the twins? Any thoughts, advice for those who have twins or maybe are in a similar situation?
yeah. Uh, man, I've been, trying to think about this one because it's a tough one. It's a very unique situation, and what's interesting about having twins is you get a new perspective because far too often we will look at each other and say, if one of our twins is sleeping and we just have Monroe and the other one, it's like, man, if we only had one kid the second time
Right.
around, like it'd be
Yeah.
so easy.
Right. Right.
But we wouldn't know any different. We wouldn't know
Yeah.
any different. So it would still
Sure.
be hard. Like your hard is your hard no matter
Right.
what it
I like
is.
that.
You have no ability to compare because then we look at people who have triplets and we're like, how did you do it? Because
Yeah.
like we could at least like both take one of the babies, but you had another one. Like
Right.
how did you even manage that?
You don't have
Um,
an arm.
no, yeah, it's so we've kind of gotten this new perspective of, yeah, your heart is your heart no matter what the
Mm,
situation. Try not to compare your
right.
situation or like how things are going. I think it's easy to compare with other parents of kids that are
Yeah.
close together or other parents of twins that seem like it's going well. Um, and it kind of can lead to despair in some ways of like,
Right. Right.
man, like, are we just doing something wrong? Like, is the problem us?
Sure.
But is it just our kids' personalities? Like, did we
Right.
not do this right? So,
Yeah, I've had a friend that gave me this quote that stuck with me for the rest of my life since he said it. He said that comparison is the thief of joy. I'm like, yeah,
mhm.
you see that in so many situations, but I can imagine just like this one, it would be true too.
Totally. Yeah. And so, I mean, with twins, you just kind of, the things that you learn to do is like divide and conquer. Like, you got to just, okay, are you going to take the twins or are you going to take the toddler? Like, and you got to be able to communicate about those
Sure,
things.
sure, sure.
Everybody that we've talked to that has twins or that is a twin, we've actually talked to a lot of twins
Okay.
just
Oh,
because
that's neat.
when you say you have twins, people are way more willing to be like, oh, I'm a
Yeah.
twin. And then inevitably we're like, do you have any advice for us as the
Come on.
parents, like
Sure,
from how
sure.
you were raised?
Right.
They all say like treat them as individuals. Don't
Hmm.
lump them together all the time.
Sure.
Like
You
and
should
and it's
match them every
hard.
in the same outfit.
Exactly. Yeah. Don't match them all the time, or just the language that you use around it of like and it's a struggle. It's like, oh, the twins or the boys is what we
Yeah,
call
right.
them. But then you're just lumping them together as one entity, right? Instead of, I try to say as much as I can consciously do it, oh, Nico and Alex,
Right,
because
right.
that's who they are. They're not, you know, the twins, even though they'll
Yeah,
have a special bond and, hopefully be close, they're individuals. So we've
right.
also been told that, and we try to do that. So like for their birthday, we wrote them birthday cards, right? That we didn't read to them now, but someday we'll give to them.
Sure,
And we
sure.
wrote different things in each card based on their personalities, and we try to just do that, and just recognize the ways they're different and praise them for that and
Right.
treat them as individuals.
Awesome, man.
And and then another thing for parents of kids close together or of twins, like ask for help. Like
Yep.
you have to.
No
Yeah,
shame.
I don't, no shame. Yeah, you kind of get to the point where it's like we cannot do this. Like,
Right.
and I've had moments of we got COVID 3 weeks after they were born,
Ooh,
and like my wife being postpartum, breastfeeding three kids, not sleeping very much. It was
gosh.
miserable for both of us. And I broke down with my parents, just like, this is so hard. Like, we just
Yep.
need help. And they and Chelsea's mom ended up taking all the kids for 2 nights, 2 overnights when they were 3 weeks old, like having
Yeah.
to wake up in the middle of the night, bottle feed the
Right.
twins, like keep Monroe sleeping, do all this stuff, so that we could recover and like get
Yep.
actual good sleep.
You need
And
that.
you have to, you have to, you just have to
Yeah.
kind of, even if it feels, I don't know, selfish or weird, or you want to be able to say that you could do it on your own. It's like, yeah, but like you got to lay that aside and
Yeah.
ask for the help and ask again and ask again and ask again,
Right.
because it
Right.
doesn't
Right.
get easier, like because you got one break, right?
Sure.
It's
Yeah.
constant. So we're
That sounds like such a like God way of teaching you humility, which sounds like it would be so hard initially to like you want to do things on your own. You want to be able to say we did it, but like him
sure.
using that situation, teaching you humility, and as a result, you growing closer with the family or friends that you lean on.
Sure, yeah. And I mean, a lot of times you feel like you're imposing, like my sister-in-law, she helped. We took a trip, Chelsea and I, a couple weekends ago, and she helped a ton. And it's like, you don't really have to do this, but she just said, listen, I want to do this. I'm here because I want to be here.
Yeah,
And, you kind of just learn to take people at their word,
sure.
and like I said, yeah, accept it, be humble and accepting people's help. Um, I heard the quote that you'll learn everything that you can from success by the time you're 30. And
Huh.
after that, everything you learn is from failure. And
Uh,
I kind of thought about that when you said the humility thing, because it's like, yeah, I mean, we can try to do this on our own, but we're going to fail. And maybe we'll learn more from that,
sure.
that,
Yeah, failure
that
is
attempt and that
teacher
failure, then, because it's going to force us to ask for help. And maybe we
for
learn
sure.
to lean on other people in our community more rather than just trying to do everything by ourselves.
Yeah, for sure. No, that's gold. So okay, let me see if I can bring it back. So you said don't compare,
Hmm.
communicate well with your spouse,
Hmm.
treat them individually, and then
Hmm.
really just asking for help and
Hmm.
having no shame there.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. That's what I would, that's what
That's
I
so
would
good.
say.
Such great advice for not just parents of twins, but any parents.
Yeah.
For myself too.
We're all doing the same thing, man. We're all
Yeah,
just
I like that. Your
trying
heart.
to,
How true is that? Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
So obviously we know that your hands are full, you and your wife. How do you and Chelsea, in the midst of the busyness, the tornado of Monroe and your twin boys, how do you guys make time for each other? Or are you able?
Yeah, I was gonna say very poorly.
Yeah, right.
Uh,
Maybe that's where
yeah,
that health
it,
piece comes in.
yeah, exactly. Oh yeah, 100%. Like I said, we took a trip a couple weekends ago, and we literally like typed out a schedule of like
Hmm.
who's gonna be here, what times,
Yeah,
what days, and like meals, nap schedule, everything. Like we had to type it all out and prep people for it because it takes
right.
so much to do it that yeah, we have to ask for a lot of help when we want to do things like that.
Sure.
But yeah, consistently what we try to do. I mean, it's been difficult after having kids because Monroe was born literally the week of the shutdown for COVID.
Sure.
So he was born like we got messages from the hospital every day like, oh, you can't have a doula or a midwife with you. Oh,
Oh, yeah.
like you can only have one support person. And we were like, am I not even going to be able to be in the room?
Right. Yeah.
So that was, and then going into having your first kid and not really being able to go out places and have dates and things like that.
Yeah.
So with Monroe, we really didn't do a great job. And
Sure.
that it was, a mix of just circumstances and
Right.
he didn't sleep super well. So with the twins, we've tried to go on dates like every other month is what we try to do where we have
Cool.
somebody come and babysit so that we can go out to dinner and
Yeah.
have a nice meal, a couple of drinks, go see a movie or like go
Right.
see a play or just something to get out.
Right.
Um,
And do you have that like saved document of the schedule that you just like
yep.
pass out to whoever?
Yep. And it's crazy because we have to update it so often. It
Right.
changes. Like the twins
Yeah.
sleep,
Right.
kids sleep is always changing. So it's like, well, yeah, 3 months ago when you helped us out, this is what we did at bedtime, but
Yeah.
that changed and now we do this because it's working.
Yeah.
And
Right.
you just kind of have to adapt to that. But then I think it was a couple months ago, we kind of started getting in the routine. Like I said, we eat breakfast together in the morning and then we'll usually like turn on a TV show for the kids and they'll be in there and we sit at the table and just like have our morning powwow of just like,
Sure.
hey, where are you at? Where am I at? Do we need to
Yeah.
do anything today? Do we need to order groceries? What are we doing for dinner? We have that connection point, and I really value that because I enjoy not rushing off to work.
Yeah. Right.
So I want to be able to have that connection point with her before I have to walk 20 yards to my office and start work. But
But it
um,
still worked. You're there,
it's
man.
still work. Still work. Yeah, I gotta go. So, and then, once the kids are asleep, um, we'll either sit and talk or
Yeah.
watch a TV show together. Like that's our time to connect too.
Sure.
Or it's
Yeah.
our time to like do whatever. Like that's the time that we'll exercise or,
Right. Okay. Cool.
have a phone call with friends. Like I try to connect with my friends. She has a every other week call with a couple of her friends on one night. So, um, yeah, we're either connecting with each other or trying to have like some good, self-care time of some
Sure.
sort after the kids are asleep. So
Yeah.
that's what we do. I mean, that's kind of all we can do right
Yeah.
now,
No.
just with
Totally.
our situation. So,
Yeah. Well, I think
um,
taking advantage. I mean, that's so good. Even just like outside of the date nights, and that's important. It sounds like you guys are really trying to put that on the schedule, and I think that
yeah,
what you have to do is you have to put on the schedule, or it's not going to happen. Um,
totally. Yeah.
but outside of that, yeah, having those moments where you do have time once the kids go down or before they
Hmm.
wake up, you can
Yeah.
easily let that time slip away right to work or do
Hmm.
something. But yeah, making that time to connect, even just for a couple minutes over coffee, I
Yeah.
think is valuable.
Yeah. For sure. For sure.
Awesome.
And some mornings it's great. We feel good, and I go to work. And other mornings it's a fight, and I go to work. It's just, but we got to connect. And
Dancing, right?
yeah,
For
it's just, it is what it is, right? This is
sure.
just life right now.
That
So
is real life right there.
yes, it
Um,
is.
what has, or moving on, kind of a little bit different topic, getting a little bit deeper. What has your faith journey looked like in this season of life? Kind of in just regarding church, maybe time in the Word, just your relationship with the Lord. I mentioned on my question, I'm not looking for a tie to put in a bow answer, but just your honest answer. What does kind of your faith journey look like in this season of life of parenting?
Yeah, yeah. I laughed when I saw it. You put don't want to tie it with a bow because I don't have that at all.
You don't have the bow.
I'm like,
The bow's not here.
I don't have the bow. It's not
Yeah.
here. I'll just preface with that.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, so yeah, Chelsea and I's journey, married, I mean, marriage, and I think we've had conversations about this, is like when you get married, it's tough to even figure out how to merge your faith journeys with somebody else. Like you have
Sure.
your individual faith journey and then you get married and it's like, how do you merge that? Together. And honestly, like shortly after we got married, we were kind of burnt out on church, of just
Mm,
like being involved in leadership for so long,
sure. Yeah.
and in life group for so long. We kind of took a break and we were part of a life group, but it wasn't affiliated with one church or anything like
Sure.
that. It was just people from a lot of different areas of our lives. And that went for a couple of years. And then we had Monroe, and obviously with COVID,
Yeah.
and
Things
then
took off,
like
man.
yeah. And then you have a kid and you're dealing with nap schedules. And um, our experience was like Monroe did not sleep through the night probably until he was at least a year old. Like we were just down for the count as far as sleep deprivation goes.
Right.
So the thought of like getting him up and going to church and then like with his naps, it was just really tough. And so we
For sure.
really haven't consistently gone to a church, a building where people gather to talk about Jesus, if we want to
Right.
describe it that way.
Defining church.
Um, yeah. And that's been part of the process, is just
Yeah, for sure.
what even is church? What is it
Right.
meant to be, and how are we going to do that? And so yeah, honestly for us it hasn't been the building with the songs, the announcements, the sermon, the
Sure.
songs, the greetings, and then leaving. It's been honestly like things like this, just the conversations that we
Right.
have with our friends, our
Yeah.
family, where we
Other
can
brothers and
connect.
sisters in Christ.
Exactly. Like I was told one time that fellowship is just a bunch of fellows sitting in the same ship, going through life
I
together.
like
Like
that.
that's what it is, right? So you and I can be going through life together and
Right.
be, you know, big C church, like where three or more are gathered in my name, there I am with them.
Amen. Yeah.
And that's what we've experienced it as and seen it as, just because church has not been
What it was growing
the
up, probably.
yeah, or just the easiest thing for us with having kids. And then, like
Yeah.
I said, with having twins and nap schedules. And like we went to church for Easter with all the kids and they all got sick. And so then for the next 2 weeks, we were all sick. And it's just
Right.
like, man, just the amount of effort it takes.
Right.
And it feels weird to say this, but like what you get out of it, or, it
Right.
just, it's I don't, it's not worth it. Like, to say it more
Yeah.
plainly for us, like that's just how it is right now. And so church and relationship with Jesus for us, like we've been focusing on that, like relationship with Jesus, and where is that in our lives? And
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, it's been really, really difficult.
Yeah.
And I'd imagine for people in our same situation, maybe it is, but I think having one kid, it was fine, but I'll be like just really honest with you. Like having the second kid, and I can't speak to whether it's just having a second kid or if it's
Sure.
because we had
Yeah.
twins, but like it changed so much just in like my personal ability to regulate my own emotions,
Right.
or just, like, and what's crazy is like I have yelled at my 3-year-old more than I have yelled at any other person in my life. Adult,
Interesting thought to consider.
right? Like, and that just is crazy. And
Right.
and my inability to control anger, or just frustration with my kids or with my wife, and yell at them. Like, I was really blaming a lot of that on just the circumstances. Like, well, okay, I'm not this person.
Sure.
It's just
Right.
because we have a toddler and we have twins and they're so close in age. But man, I was reading this book, like 14 gospel principles, in parenting.
Yeah.
And one of the things that really hit me is, there's a verse in Matthew where, Jesus talks about, like, it's not what goes into a man that makes him unclean, but what comes out of the mouth of man.
Mm,
And, the disciples don't know, what he's talking about. And he's like, do you still
Right.
not understand? Like you eat food and it like it goes out, but like out of the heart come all sorts of evils, you know.
Mm,
And the book was talking about like this is the reality is that that is what it is. And man, that hit me because I was blaming all that stuff on my external circumstances. Like I'm
sure.
just angry, I'm frustrated, I'm easily agitated. Chelsea and I are
Right.
at each other's throats and like just below our boiling point all the time because of our circumstances. But
Yeah.
it's been humbling to just like sit with, no, this is like what's really inside of me.
Mm,
Um,
wow.
and I don't know if you can relate to this, but like growing up in the church, and this was my experience of like, man, I was a good kid. Like I got
Right.
good grades. I tried to do like all the right things. Like to be honest, like church was just great because it was my community and my
Right. Right.
family and friends and whatnot. But like I can say that like I haven't really felt the need, like the real need
Right.
for Jesus because of my own depravity until like this point in my life
Mm,
of like
yeah.
honestly looking at those things of like, yeah, I yell at my kids more than I yell at anyone. My anger is sometimes out of control, like,
Mm,
and this is coming out of me. It's not
right.
something that is forced on me from the outside. It's like the
Right.
circumstances are bringing it out,
For sure.
and I feel that need more than ever.
Yeah.
But it also just it's very humbling and um, so that's also is like I need help. Like I need help from
Yeah.
Jesus. I need help from community. And we try to do this on our own.
Yep.
And like I said, we fail daily to like
Right.
be empathetic with our kids, to be patient with our kids.
Yep.
Um, I actually remember something I think it was when we were visiting you guys in Santa Barbara before we had Monroe. I think you were like, yeah, like marriage is crazy because it really shows you how selfish you are. Like I remember we talked about
For sure.
that
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
just as part of the journey. And for me, like marriage didn't so much do that, you know, like we were just like we could work together pretty well. Didn't really have too
You
many,
have
but like
kids.
the kids, man, that
Yeah.
is the next level of just like this mirror that is just like these are like you are shaping these kids
Yeah.
and the things that they do, like oh my gosh, it's like a direct reflection on the way that I'm living my life and the way that I'm interacting with them
Yeah.
or with Chelsea or with, you know,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah. I think that I don't know if you read there's a book called The Meaning of Marriage by Tim Keller, and in
yeah.
that book
Hmm.
talk about how marriage is it's not meant to make you happy, it's to make you holy. And I just feel
Hmm.
like parenting is a whole nother level on that. Like
It is.
God
It
is
is.
using your kids to show, yeah, just like you said, show you what's going on in your heart so
Hmm.
that you can surrender that to the Lord and ask for help.
Hmm.
And I think you can agree with this that I don't know if I've prayed more than being a parent. Like
Hmm.
I'm so needy, like, and I need help. And that's definitely one way that my kids have, like, especially when they were young, those
Oh
days,
yeah.
nights where they wouldn't sleep. And I'm just like, Lord, help me.
Yeah.
Like I
Right.
cannot do it. I can't function. And in those moments, I wonder if you've experienced this too. Like there's been moments where like God has totally been faithful and either they stopped crying, not all the time, or
Hmm.
like all of a sudden I had more of compassion for them, which wasn't
Hmm.
typical. And I just feel like for me in those moments, it was like, okay, like this is kind of my faith journey right now. And I was
Hmm.
using it for me at least.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's a perspective shift. It's you know, you really you're for like this is your life is no longer your own, you know, and like
Right.
Jesus talks about that, like when you follow him, your life is no longer your own. And again, this is just a picture of like, yeah, when you have kids, like your life is no longer your own. You don't get to
Mm,
do the things that you
yeah.
want to do
Right.
whenever you want to do them. You just you have this person that you have to take care of. And another thing that I've been thinking about and just pondering on is like, you know, we're called to be good stewards of the things that we've been given.
Right.
But our kids were also given to us. Like we're called to
Sure.
be
Yeah.
stewards of our kids and like their futures, their souls, their just ability to cope with their surroundings. And it's a huge responsibility. I know my wife said that I'm responsible, but that's like part of my personality type is that I'm high responsibility.
Sure. Right.
Um, but this is an area where like I need to take more responsibility of like, you know, it's so hard. Like this season of life is so hard.
Right.
And it's easy to just write it off as like it's just the season, but I want to see it as like, oh, like it's still our responsibility
Right.
to care for our kids well and do everything that we can to
Sure.
set them up for success in, you know, just their physical, emotional, mental,
Yeah.
spiritual health in every way. Um, it's tough.
Yeah.
It's not easy. It's not about us anymore. And
No. Yeah. And
that's
I feel like the prayer for myself is that I wouldn't be trying, that I would not try to be just riding out the storm, but just like you mentioned, like would I be present and try to take advantage and be intentional right
hmm
now
hmm
rather than waiting for the grass is greener or like just wait till they're blah blah blah, like, and
Oh
that's
my
so
gosh.
hard, but I
Oh
think
my
that
gosh. Yeah.
that's the responsibility.
Yeah. It's a like you said, it's a perspective shift. It's you gotta change the way you see it, change the way you think about it. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I have that thought, like, man, I can't wait until I don't have to change
Yeah,
like
you must
two sets
you,
of diapers every day, dude.
yeah,
Like,
and you will
but how do
rejoice.
I flip?
You
I
will
will
rejoice.
rejoice. I will. I know I will.
Yeah,
But you know, how do you flip the script and say, man, you know, okay, here's 30 seconds to 2 minutes or whatever that I get to be close to my kid. Like, how can I make
yeah,
it fun for them
amen,
and be present in it and try to enjoy
for
it?
sure.
Because yeah, one day it's going to be gone and we're not going to have this time back. But when you're in the midst of it, when you're in the midst of the struggle, it's so hard to have that perspective and to be there. And how could we? We don't have anything else that we look back on in life. I mean, maybe we do,
Yeah,
but it's just to, like we've said the whole time, it's just to a different level. It's to a
yeah,
different degree
yeah,
in parenting. So
for sure.
yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, I wanted to close this out on bringing back those kind of four pieces of advice. 'Cause I thought those were just gold.
Mm,
So I want to say the first one was, kind of that comparison piece.
hmm
What you said was your heart is your heart. Don't
Yeah.
compare.
Yeah. hmm
Communication is always so key with your spouse, right?
hmm
Um, and then the other one, just for twins perspective, treat, and I guess this goes for just any of your kids, right? You want to treat them as
Yeah.
individuals, don't lump them together.
hmm
And
Yep.
then the last one was, ask for help.
Yeah.
Don't be ashamed to ask for help. And that's hard. I think it's
Don't be
hard.
ashamed. Hmm
Don't be ashamed to ask for help because it takes, right?
hmm
It takes a village to raise a family,
hmm It
raise some kids.
does.
Cool,
It
man. Well,
does.
would you mind closing us out? This was awesome, Christian. And let me just like commend you. Like I'm obviously many miles away, but I think that you're doing such a great job. You and Chelsea,
Mm,
and it takes a leap of faith to move away from what you're comfortable with, kind of start over in a sense, and do it together. And it sounds like you
hmm
guys are really trying to be present and, like we're talking about, taking advantage
hmm
of the season, of the moments, and know you're
Sure.
not perfect and you need help. I need help, but
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think keep it up, man. You are one rad dad, and I'm proud of
No,
you.
thanks. Thanks. Yeah. I mean, I think that's super important to do as, you know, as fellow parents is just encourage each other. Like, just keep
Yeah,
going. Like, you know, because
right,
that you have those moments where you just feel like you can't, but you got to.
for
So
sure.
appreciate
Would
that.
you mind closing us out, just in prayer, and just for any kind of parents, dads, moms, anybody that's listening in?
Absolutely. Love to. Oh, God, thanks for such a meaningful time with my brother and cousin's cousin Micah. It's so good to just be able to connect on this new level and experience in life that we both have in in being parents and getting to raise these kids that we have and um, just hopefully show them your love and your grace um, and just be that for them. be ambassadors of who you are to them, stewards of their souls. It's a lot, when we sit back and think about that responsibility. It weighs heavy on me, and I'm sure on other people listening to this. So, God, encourage us. May your Spirit be with us as we, um, day in and day out, are trying to empathize with our kids, to be in the big feelings with them, to work through the difficult emotions, the tantrums, to care for our spouses in the midst of just the chaos and the crazy of having toddlers. We need that. We need the encouragement. We need um, just the power of your Spirit to help us to do what we otherwise we can't do. We fail at this daily, and we make mistakes. And I know I'm just very grateful that your grace for us is much deeper than our anger, than our failures, than our selfishness, than our inability to see our partners or to see our kids for who they are. I so thankful for that, and I hope that myself and anybody else who's in the throes of the difficulty can just rest in knowing that you are with us, that you're walking beside us on this journey, and that you're not going to give up on us. So help us not to give up on our partners. Help us not to give up on our kids. Help us to keep going, and help us to encourage each other to do the same. So thanks, God, for Micah and what he's doing with this podcast. Thank you for anyone listening who's doing it and trying to do it with their kids. And just thank you for loving us and for being with us. We ask all these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.